Welcome to Vroom Vibes. When the engine roars, luxury never stops. "2026 Mercedes-Benz E-Class. Timelessness in motion." The city does not sleep. At 3 in the morning, there are still taxis carving through empty boulevards, delivery vans rushing toward their deadlines, neon signs flickering against glass towers. But in this quieter hour, when the hum of the metropolis settles into a softer drone, certain presences become more profound. A lone car glides into view, its paintwork reflecting the streetlights in liquid ribbons, its proportions exact, its aura unspoken but undeniable. It is the new 2026 Mercedes-Benz E-Class, and like every E-Class before it, it does not shout to announce itself. It simply arrives, carrying with it the authority of decades, the calm of confidence, and the promise of continuity in a world that is constantly rewriting itself. The E-Class has always been the center of gravity in the Mercedes-Benz universe. The S-Class dazzles at the summit with innovation and excess. The AMGs roar with fury, and the smaller cars experiment with youth and trends. But the E-Class, always the E-Class, is the one that embodies balance. It is the axis, the middle note in the symphony, the car that defines what a Mercedes is. From diplomats in Berlin to doctors in Boston, from families in Lagos to chauffeurs in Tokyo, the E-Class has carried millions with grace. And that is why each new generation matters so deeply. It is not simply a car. It is the continuation of a lineage, a meditation on what it means to endure. Look at it under the streetlights, and you see how the designers have once again walked the tightrope between tradition and evolution. The proportions are textbook. E-Class, a long hood stretching with purpose, a cabin set back with just enough poise, a rear deck compact and disciplined. The grille is slimmer, more technical now, its chrome carefully rationed, framed by new digital light signatures that slice through the night like precision instruments. Within the headlamps, Mercedes engineers have embedded clusters of adaptive micro-LEDs that can project not only beams of light, but patterns, lane markers on dark country roads, warning symbols in fog, guidance arrows on wet asphalt. The car does not just illuminate, it communicates. From the side, its strength lies in its restraint. No creases for their own sake, no theatrics, just smooth, taut surfaces, subtly flared around the wheels, sculpted to catch light as though it were another material in the design toolkit. The roofline arcs gently, sweeping into a rear that is clean yet expressive. The taillights are crystalline, fractal within, yet elegant in outline. They glow with a soft intelligence rather than a harsh glare. It is a car drawn not to shock, but to endure. And endurance has always been the E-Class way. Step closer, open the door, and the E-Class does what it has always done. It absorbs you into its world. The door shuts with that perfect Mercedes thud, neither hollow nor forced, but resonant like a vault ceiling shut. Inside, the cabin feels like a sanctuary built on duality, digital brilliance layered over human warmth. Across the dash stretches the MBUX Superscreen, a seamless panel of glass that merges instrument cluster, central display, and passenger entertainment into one panoramic command center. Yet even as it dazzles with resolution and responsiveness, it is framed by materials chosen for their honesty: brushed metal, open-pore wood, hand-stitched leather, or sustainable alternatives that feel no less authentic. The seats are sculpted with intention. They cradle, they support, they adapt. Micro-actuators adjust lumbar support as you drive. Heating and cooling cycles anticipate your comfort based on body temperature. And even massage functions are tuned not just for novelty, but for genuine relief on long journeys. The ambient lighting, woven seamlessly into seams and contours, is not decoration but atmosphere. It can pulse gently with your heartbeat, shift with drive modes, or bathe the cabin in a spectrum of colors, depending on mood. At night, it turns the interior into a private lounge, gliding through the world outside. Start it, and the silence of electrification greets you, unless you opt for one of the mild hybrid petrols, in which case the engine hums alive with a refined purr. The 2026 E-Class range is broad: 4-cylinder turbo hybrids that blend efficiency with torque, 6-cylinder plug-in hybrids offering extended electric range, and AMG variants that harness electrification for brutal thrust rather than timid efficiency. Solid-state batteries and plug-in models offer ranges beyond 80 miles electric only, enough to make most commutes emissions-free, while rapid charging ensures the transition between city silence and highway endurance is seamless. Performance is delivered not as drama, but as confidence. Power is abundant yet civilized, tuned to serve, not overwhelm. Drive it through the city first. Here, the E-Class feels scalpel-sharp in awareness. Cameras, LiDAR, and radar create a cocoon of intelligence around you. At low speeds, it maneuvers like a car smaller than its size, the steering precise, the hybrid system gliding silently, the suspension absorbing potholes with a calm shrug. The chaos of urban life feels held at bay, softened but never hidden. You see, hear, and feel enough to remain part of the world, but you are always shielded by an invisible layer of refinement. Take it onto the highway, and the car reveals its deeper nature. The steering gains weight, the chassis settles into composure, and the E-Class becomes a long-distance weapon. Noise is hushed, wind barely whispers around the mirrors, and the hum of tires is softened into background. Engage adaptive cruise, and the car flows like water with traffic, reading movements ahead, slowing and accelerating with an organic smoothness that feels less like programming and more like intuition. It is autonomy not as surrender, but as partnership. Then, aim it toward the mountains. Switch to sport, let the AMG-tuned suspension tighten, and discover agility where you might not expect it. The E-Class is not a lightweight, but it dances with precision. Hybrid torque fills every gap, catapulting you out of corners, while steering feedback whispers the texture of the road into your fingertips. You find yourself smiling, not the adrenaline grin of a track car, but the deep satisfaction of harmony. Everything is working together. Engine, electric boost, chassis, brakes, all in unison, all calibrated, not for spectacle, but for flow. Storms arrive, and the E-Class remains unshaken. Rain lashes the windshield, crosswinds buffet the body, spray blinds visibility. But sensors pierce the chaos, stability systems adjust imperceptibly, and you remain calm. The wipers synchronize with rainfall intensity. The headlights carve through water spray with beams that adapt dynamically. The tires cut cleanly through standing water. You grip the wheel, but you know the car grips more. This is trust, the kind earned through decades of engineering, distilled into confidence when you need it most. Technology saturates the experience, but never drowns it. Augmented reality navigation projects arrows onto the actual road ahead. The AI voice assistant responds to natural conversation, learning your routines. Take me home, you say, and it does more than plot the fastest route. It checks weather, adjusts suspension for comfort, sets cabin temperature to your preferred evening setting, even suggests a playlist based on your mood. This is not gimmickry, it is integration. Technology not as barrier, but as enabler. The E-Class has always been more than its engineering, though. It has been a cultural symbol. For executives, it is the car of discretion, the one that signals success without flamboyance. For families, it is the trusted chariot, the one in which children fall asleep in the back seat, in which countless memories are stitched into the upholstery. For enthusiasts, it is the sleeper, an AMG E63 hiding fury behind civility. For the world, it is the benchmark. Competitors measure themselves against the E-Class, and though they sometimes match its numbers, they rarely capture its aura. Across continents, its meaning shifts, but its essence holds. In Europe, it devours autobahns at speeds that seem impossible for its serenity. In America, it offers dignity in a landscape of oversized SUVs, a reminder that sedans still carry poetry. In Africa, it endures as taxis and personal cars alike, chosen for resilience. In Asia, it is aspiration embodied, a car that signals achievement without arrogance. Everywhere it belongs. Everywhere it matters. History whispers through its bodywork. You see flashes of the W124, famed for its indestructibility. Echoes of the W210, the first to wear those twin oval lights. The W212 solidity, the W13 sleek modernity. Each generation a chapter, all converging here in the 2026 model. The E-Class does not erase its past. It layers it, each new iteration carrying traces of what came before, like rings in a tree trunk, invisible to most, but essential to its strength. As night deepens, the car glides once more into the city. Reflections shimmer across its body, droplets bead and slide away, the engine hums softly into stillness. The driver steps out, closes the door with that perfect sound, and walks away. The E-Class waits, not for applause, not for validation. It waits for the next journey, the next era, the next story it will quietly carry. Because that is what the E-Class has always done. It endures. The 2026 Mercedes-Benz E-Class is not the loudest Mercedes, nor the most flamboyant, nor the most extreme. It does not need to be. It is the Mercedes that defines Mercedes. Elegance distilled, innovation balanced, heritage honored. The car that speaks not in headlines but in lifetimes. The quiet pulse of luxury. Yet even as the city holds the E-Class in its quiet glow, there is something unresolved. A question lingering in the air, whispered by every generation of this car. What comes next? For the E-Class, next is never an afterthought. It is destiny. Because unlike trend-chasing sedans that arrive, sparkle, and fade, the E-Class endures through reinvention. It absorbs the currents of the world, electrification, autonomy, connectivity, and filters them through a sieve of dignity. Never too early, never too late, always exactly when needed. And in 2026, this instinct to evolve feels sharper than ever, because the E-Class is not simply surviving the shift into electrified luxury, it is shaping it. Consider its intelligence. The new Mercedes-Benz operating system no longer feels like software installed on a machine. It feels like part of the car's bloodstream. Information flows not through apps, but as conversation. Ask for the fastest route, and it consults traffic, weather, and even charging infrastructure. Ask for quiet, and the cabin transforms. Noise cancellation harmonizes with suspension damping. Ambient lighting dims to midnight hues. Seat bolsters soften. It feels like speaking to something alive, something that understands more than commands. And yet, beneath all this digital magic, the E-Class still carries its mechanical soul. You feel it in the weight of the steering, calibrated not to mimic sport, but to inspire trust. You sense it in the chassis balance, born of decades of refinement, always willing, never harsh. There is a physical honesty here, a reminder that no matter how intelligent a car becomes, it must remain satisfying to drive. Take the E-Class into the countryside at dawn, and the poetry reveals itself again. Morning mist clings to rolling fields, sunlight begins to cut through the haze, and the road stretches ahead like an invitation. The E-Class glides forward, tires whispering against tarmac, the cabin bathed in pale gold light. Birds rise from hedgerows, a tractor crawls in the distance, and time itself seems to slow. And if you've felt that pulse here, if you've sensed the timeless grace of the E-Class blending past and future, then stay with us. Subscribe to Vroom Vibe.